Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our workshop on scaling your business and optimizing your operations by leveraging virtual assistants. And this will probably last about 30-40 minutes, and then we will have some time for a Q&A at the end. And I'd also like to introduce you to Lana Sanderson, who is manning the chat, and she'll be taking any questions you'd like to have us talk about towards the end in the chat. So feel free to DM her. And then just also in the chat, it would be great to have you just tell us why you're here today. It's always interested in the reasons for joining a workshop, and then making sure that the information we're sharing today is really on target to meet your needs. So let's get started. And I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about me. So I'm the CEO and founder of ResultsResourcing, and we are a platform that really helps small businesses and solopreneurs get matched with vetted virtual freelancers. But I didn't start out in life doing that. I spent decades running Fortune 500 business operations, mostly in the commercial insurance industry, and also did a lot of technology projects and helping businesses run better using technology when I was in the insurance world. And then I up and left to join my first tech startup in 2020. And like many tech startups, it did not work, although it had some really amazing ideas that have carried forward in all of my work since. And I've also been a business consultant to a lot of startups and early stage companies, as well as an angel investor, which really helped me see scaling businesses from two sides, not only from a client and business perspective, but also for the perspective of angel investors and what they're looking for in a business that can scale. But at the end of the day, I've spent the last 2 decades hiring gig workers, both for helping my clients hire gig workers, as well as hiring gig workers myself to help support my consulting practices. And in 2015, I got inspired to start ResultsResourcing. And I got inspired because I had been using a lot of the common practices and platforms out there today. And I found them lacking, frankly, when I thought about the skills and ability and needs of solopreneurs and small businesses. And so I decided to build my own technology platform, which I have. It's called ResultsResourcing. And we are a staffing and technology hybrid. So we use technology to be operationally efficient, but you don't browse freelancers on our platform. Instead, we do all the curation for you. And so what we've specifically done is inserted human help into the hiring of fractional talent. And when you go to practice to various platforms today, you're pretty much talking to technology. And I am a big believer that having a human help is really instrumental in success. And so really what I've been doing with my time ever since is empowering solopreneurs and small businesses to scale, which just means growing and getting bigger and having more impact. So let me tell you a little bit why this is so important to me. I mean, basically, small businesses are the lifeblood of the US economy, and frankly, globally, in any economy. And what's interesting to me is the vast majority of businesses, there's 33 million of them in the United States, but about 27 million, or 82%, are solopreneurs. So they're non-employee firms. They're individuals with a business idea contributing to their community. And then another 20% roughly, are small businesses on the small end of the scale that have less than 15 employees. But all in all, it's 99.9% of US businesses. And we read so much about the 0.1% of really big businesses and jobs and all that kind of stuff, when the vast majority of us do not work in that environment. And those are the business people I want to help the most. And what my message is as well as my objective, is to help solopreneurs and small businesses think bigger. If you look at SBA information, the average annual revenue for a solopreneur in the United States is $50,000. And for small business employers, if you have 1 to 4 employees, it's about $400,000 a year. 5 to 9, a little over $1 million, and 10 to 19, a little over $2 million. And so the question I keep asking is, what impact could you have if you doubled your revenue, regardless of what category you fall in? I just think it would have a huge impact on you, your family, your community, your state, the country. And I think that's all a good thing. And so my mission is really to help you do that. And part of that is prepping for success. So especially with COVID, there were tons of people that started up businesses. But as we can see from, again, this SBA chart, after 5 years, only 50% of businesses still survive, and it declines from there. And what are the main reasons businesses don't succeed? So they run out of money, they have obsolete products and services, or they get outcompeted. And those are probably a cycle of things that are all interrelated. Another key thing that I think is important for the future is for small businesses have pretty low use of emerging technology. Only 39% of small businesses use specialized software like a CRM system or QuickBooks, and even fewer, 33%, use cloud-based computing. So what that means is a lot of people have technology, if they have it, on their laptop, and it's not scalable. And it really doesn't set the business up for scaling or success because it can't be shared. And that's one of the beautiful things of cloud computing. So those are some of the key things that I think stood out from the SBA studies. And so my question continues to be, how can I help you increase the success factors in your business? And to me, that's what the seminar is all about, is helping you have the impact that you want, whether you're a solopreneur or a small company. And this is why I asked why you're here. And from what I can tell from the chat, it's for these reasons. Consistently, this has been the case in the workshops we've done. You want to grow and scale your business, and you want to have the impact you want in the world cost effectively and easily. And that's really what my mission is all about, to empower your purpose and your success so you have the impact that you want in the world. And so today's workshop is going to be talking about these things. We're going to explore the value of time, because that is probably one thing you control that can be leveraged in so many different ways. And then what are the 3 signs that it's time for virtual assistants? And then how do you create time? And I'd like to talk both about human and digital virtual assistants, which is increasingly an interesting situation in today's world of AI. And then how do you afford and invest in virtual assistants? And then ultimately leveraging the VA options for your business. So let's start first talking about time, because that's really your most valuable asset. And so I'd like you to take a piece of paper and pencil pen and just jot down how much is an hour of your time worth. So don't have to think about billable rates or anything like that, but just throw a number out there. It's probably not $10, so I mean, I'll give you that as a secret. And then how many hours a week do you work? And if you multiply the 2, that is roughly the value of the time you work each week. And the question to ask yourself is whether you're investing or spending that time. And that's really how we're going to be thinking about the next few slides. The thing I'd like to introduce you to is something we call the value of time calculator. And you can access it by clicking on the QR code there. And interestingly enough, just yesterday, I had a gentleman write me on LinkedIn, and this is what he said, that he used the ROI of time calculator that he discovered basically by doing a search for content created by founders recently. And he said that only 63% of his time was utilized for billable activities. And so he vowed to delegate more. The interesting thing, and unbeknownst to him, is he is a hero. He's a superhero at 63%. Because of all the people that have ever taken this survey, and we don't use it for marketing purposes or anything like that, but for only 43% of time of everyone that has ever taken the survey is spent on billable work. So let me kind of take you through the calculations to understand the impact of that. The average rate for everyone that's taken the survey is $166 an hour, and the average number of hours per week is 58 hours worked. Core work, and I'll be talking more about what that is, but generally core work is work that generates revenue. Only 43% or 25 hours a week is spent on core revenue generating work, which equates to about $4,000 a week if you multiply 25 hours times 166. So what that means is that non-core work, which is non-revenue generating, is 33 hours a week or 57% of the majority. And using that same average hourly rate of 166, times 33 hours is $5,500 a week spent doing non-core work, non-revenue generating work. And my theory, and frankly, what we've proven time and time again working with clients, is that if you can convert some of those hours, not even all of them, to revenue generating time spent, then that's an opportunity cost that goes straight to the coffers. And that's an objective that we would like to help many business owners achieve. So based on all the work that we've done, these are the 3 signs that we've seen that it's time to get help or virtual assistance. The first one is there's not enough time in the day. Your realities are that you're bogged down doing the back end stuff that is necessary for your business to run. You juggle or you struggle every single day to find time to balance the demands of the things that need to happen every day with your desire to help clients. And then a lot of times you have operational fire drills. You just something urgent happens, you got to deal with it. But if you have a fractional VA on your team, that fractional VAT can be someone that's trusted to take over administrative and operational duties. And it really creates that time that gives you hours back in your day to spend with clients or do things that will help you grow and build your business. And here's a success story that I'd like to share. And it really is about 2 types of clients that we serve a lot: coaches and consultants and professional services providers. And what they all come to us for is they want to spend more client time, which will generate revenue, and more creative time, which will help them think up ways to help their clients or to be thought leaders or any number of things like that. And so these are the key roles that they come to us for. Basically, email and scheduling, any kind of client support, from following up to set up appointments, following up on overdue bills. Many are thought leaders and want to deliver newsletters or social postings on a regular basis. And they can either have help drafting those things or certainly administering those things into the social media marketplace. Many coaches, consultants, professional service providers have programs. They have workshops, they have various things online courses, and all those things require administration. And then lastly, just the day-to-day, administrative work that crops up in invoicing. The second sign that it's time to get help is you have budget constraints, but you know that you need support and you can't do it all because you have the time constraint. And so your realities, again, is that you're struggling to keep up with the business that's growing. Your clients are asking for more, or new clients are coming in the door, and you need to expand your infrastructure to support that in a scalable fashion. And sometimes clients are coming back to you because they trust you, they want your help, but they need something new and different. You need some different skills, or you need some different resources to help you meet new needs. And again, if you have the right fractional virtual assistant on your team, you have access to skilled support without the overhead costs. Because many times you need skills, but you don't need them 40 hours a week. You need them as you need them, but you need to have skilled support that you can count on. And fractional VA resources are flexible. They can scale up, they can scale down, and they can really based on the skill needs that you have as well as your budget. All these things are constraints that can be orchestrated to meet your skill needs when you do need help, but you have budget constraints. Success story number 2. Our digital marketing agencies. We support many of them, of creative agencies. And similarly, they come to us because they want scalable capacity. They need to be able to do more, and many times they need selective expertise to deliver new and innovative ideas to their clients who come to them so their clients can grow their businesses. And so these are the key roles that we find for them. They need spot expertise, whether it's a new technology tool, or they have they need more graphic design work done for them, and they need different options. That's another big example. Many times there's multiple contributors to a project, and they need to manage all those resources and the deliverables so they deliver a project on time. Clients want data and reports that the work that they're doing in SEO, for example, is working, that they're getting the keyword word recognition they need, that their words are moving from page to page forward. All that takes time and effort to put those kind of administrative reports together. And sometimes it's just basic research on pricing or what's happening in a given industry or the latest trends in a given biotech or fintech arena that their clients are demanding. These are all key roles that can be outsourced to a skillful freelancer, as well as the day-to-day invoicing and administrative work that every business has. The third thing is really when there are delegation and operational challenges. That's a time for help, because you may need help learning how to delegate, learning how to operationalize so you can delegate. And these are the realities that you're probably facing. You're spending a lot of time on internal operations and not enough time on the customer experience, generating new customer opportunities, building relationships not only with customers, but also with your networks, because a lot of times businesses depend on referrals. And so building that network of people that are collaborating with you to refer business with you is important as well. And the first thing to get sacrificed is time for planning, or time really to come up with new ideas and innovation. So again, that trusted virtual assistant can free you up. You can focus on these things and improve the overall productivity, of your business. And the last success story I want to share is really an in-person service business, because many people don't think that, well, how can an in-person business use virtual resources? But really, there's enormous opportunity to leverage virtual resources for an in-person business. And many times what these businesses are seeking is a faster response time to client inquiries, whether it's on a website or a phone call, and clearly to have a more profitable operation, all adding to the bottom line. And so the key roles that in-person businesses come to us for are things like phone, text, or email handling. So there's responsiveness, scheduling or team coordination. Many times on-site businesses have work forms and data information that needs to be input into systems so that bills can put in or service orders can be tracked. And same with inventory and vendor management. In-person businesses a lot of times need, whether it's foodstuffs or parts, all those things come from vendors and need to be inventoried and managed, as well as the day-to-day admin and invoicing that is true to any kind of business. So those are 3 examples and sets of success stories about when it's time, a signal at time to get some virtual assistance. So let's talk next about tying back in this value of time, the ROI of time, between investing and spending time. And to me, it's all about core versus non-core work. And it's the typical iceberg picture, or the 80-20 rule. 20% of the work that you're doing is really going to drive client and business value. And so the more you can focus your time on that high level work that is driving revenue is really where you should be spending your time. But unfortunately, 80% of the time is spent running the business. And that's really the opportunity to outsource. So let me give some more examples. So in terms of core work, this again is the work your client's going to pay for. And I call that the front office. The back office is that non-core work, that 80% that your client's not going to pay you for. But you've got to do it if you're going to have a viable business. And that's really where you want to outsource. That's your opportunity cost, your way to convert those non-core hours to core hours that do generate revenue. And so here are some real life examples from work we've done. In the do column, the high ROI work is really about client value delivery. Pretty much anything that touches the client, can be deemed client value delivery. But also it's strategy or managing finances, collaboration with other potential partners, marketing, developing a marketing strategy, target markets you want to go after, content idea development, as well as that networking that I mentioned, building that community. Then these are tons of examples of non-core work. And of course, it differs by business. But anything that's client support, that is supporting your ability to deliver client value, can be delegated to a trusted resource. Anything that's administrative in nature. CRM management is tracking information about clients, about vendors, whatever kind of things those are all back-end operations that can be outsourced. If you're a creative agency, perhaps marketing and social media is a core element, not non-core, But for the vast majority of businesses that's not their core value delivery, that's work that can be outsourced, including content development and social post development, as well as the execution. And so you can see the list here. These are all things that can help your business grow, but it's administrative or operational in nature, and it can be outsourced to others to do for you, so you can do more of the core value delivering work directly with your clients. So to me, scaling your business and scaling your time is really about this triangle. It's process, tools, and people. Those are the things that you can think about as you're thinking about improving operations and thinking about delegating, to really get a head start and to do this right. The process is the most important thing going forward. It's building repeatable ways of working. And most people say, oh, I'm not a process person. I don't like process. But it's really how your business generates value. And so it's a business asset. So think about process in a different way. Think about writing down, even if it's short and sweet, how you deliver your value consistently. How do you get more done consistently? And this all enables you to delegate and outsource and get consistent work back from whomever you delegate to. So process isn't sexy. And if you're not a process person, that's okay. There's freelancers that are great at process and love doing nothing more than interviewing you basically to get process out of your head onto some sort of a digital format so it can be shared and it can become a business asset for you. The second is using tools and using tech tools that fit your process. A lot of people just buy or license the latest tool that looks cool that's going to fit their needs. But if you haven't thought about your process, you're going to buy tools that you might have to change your process to fit the tool. And that to me is backwards. And so I think tools are great because they're fixed cost. You limit the investments that you make in a tool that will help you offload repetitive tasks to tools. And frankly, it will also help you leverage artificial intelligence. In fact, whether you know it or not, many tech tools these days are leveraging artificial intelligence to make them more dynamic and more effective. So you don't even need to be an expert at understanding artificial intelligence to really benefit from it. And then to me, people are the last resort because people are what you want to use for critical and creative thinking. So to me, it's process because that helps you to outsource, tools because that should be your first stop before you use people because people are more expensive. They're also more creative and all, but ultimately they do cost more money than tools. So I want to talk a little bit about human and digital virtual assistants, because I think virtual assistant is more than that offshore inexpensive resource that can do tasks for you. And at the low end of the spectrum on human virtual assistants are tasks like lists, clerical, data entry, routine workflows, templates, and scripts. But I think if you look at the arrow at the bottom about virtual assistant as being much more than that. To me, a VA, a human VA, delivers professional support services. It is a professional service, just like many CXOs think about the professional expertise they deliver. Professional support is an expertise too, because at the high end of the spectrum are outcomes, not tasks, but outcomes. And it's critical thinking, problem solving, being creative, consultative, helping people understand their options, helping manage time. The best virtual assistants are also extremely self-motivated. They provide judgment, and frankly, they provide humanity. And I think all those things, contrasting task versus an outcome-oriented way of thinking, is really important. I happen to believe that there's a place for both digital and virtual assistants, as I was talking about when I talked about tools. But at the end of the day, at some point, humans come into the equation. So as I've done research on this, I really see that digital and AI virtual assistants are taking over this lower end of the market. And in fact, if you do, say, a ChatGPT search and you ask, describe virtual assistants, what you're going to get back is digital virtual assistants. And it's dominated by the players that aren't going to surprise you. Amazon, Google, Apple. Those are the players that really dominate this arena. And what's interesting to me is I think they're going to continue to move this line forward more and more into the HVA territory as more HI is trained on more sophisticated things and the data it's trained on is more and more current. But at the end of the day, I think it's digital virtual assistants plus human virtual assistants, because the humans can fact check, guard against hallucinations. There is a limited historical database. They can only get trained on so much. So if you need to know about something that happened yesterday, it's a human virtual assistant that's going to help you understand that, not AI. It also helps, is it a conclusion reasonable? Does a conclusion fit your market? Human VAs are also accountable. They own their results, and they're the human voice of a brand. And in fact, humanity itself, which I think is really, really important. And it's impossible for technology to make that decision. So to me, I'm a fan of both, but it's knowing what's appropriate when that I think is kind of the magic formula. So more and more small businesses are using AI and digital assistants, and these are the right uses, I think. This is a study from several Microsoft studies, actually. So it is biased because they provide, digital virtual assistants, but 52% of all the people they studied, including solopreneurs and small businesses, are using AI, whether they know it or not. And 50% of the time they use it for virtual customer service, which is, I think, one of the optimum uses, because you can get amazing chatbots now that can be tailored to your business, whether you're a dentist or a professional accountant or whatever it might be. It's amazing how they can get instant response that's relevant to whatever you offer by tailoring AI-oriented bots. And then there's a lot of time-saving work that in terms of analysis or reporting or research that AI can do for you. And then the last thing that I think a lot of people are recognizing is for image and content generation. But everyone's been forewarned by the kinds of mistakes that can be made in that arena as well. So again, in all of these arenas, at some point, the human takes over, whether it's you as the business owner or, as you're trying to scale by leveraging the right virtual assistant to help you make the most out of digital assistants to scale your business. And so how do you afford a virtual assistant? Because I get that a lot. And I'm just going to bear with me. I'm going to walk you through this exercise, and I'm happy just to have a chat with you if you want to talk about how this could work for you as well. But basically, back to the concept of core and non-core work. And I kept with a similar example. In this case, this was a business consultant, a real live example, and the hourly rate was $120 an hour. And if you looked at the non-core work, it was 27 hours of the work week at that same rate. And it was spending, not investing, spending $3,240 a week on doing this non-core work. And if you broke it down, that $3,240 was comprised of basically these 4 activities. There were a few others as well. But just general administrative work was consuming 12 hours a week, bookkeeping 5 hours, social media, both creation and posting 5 hours a week, and then lead follow-up and lead generation 5 hours a week. Well, if you outsource to a US human virtual assistant at 40 hours a week, so it's not super inexpensive like you can get offshore, but using realistically a human that understands the culture here and how business is done here because they grew up in it, just like all of you business owners that are US based, outsourcing that time would cost a little over $1,000, which basically means that they're freeing up the hours, a little over $2,000 in potential hours that could be focused on revenue generating work. And so assuming, perhaps not realistically, that 100% of those hours can be converted to revenue generating work, or maybe over time, that could be the target. At $120 an hour, that's $6,000 versus just under $3,000 of revenue generating time, less the cost, roughly $1,000. And so that's kind of a net weekly benefit of almost $5,000. So you're gaining $5,000 worth of time that you're investing in your business And yes, it does require a leap of faith in the beginning that you can convert those hours, but you've got the time to do all that work, plus all this stuff is still getting done. And it's probably at a minimum giving you time back to be innovative, to think up more things, or frankly, even take a little rest. And all that kind of thing can be valuable in terms of growing a business. So I think this is a compelling way to think about how you can afford virtual assistants, because almost every business can. So once you've decided that it's time to find one and you can afford one, how do you find one? Well, there are three primary ways. The first is to do it yourself. You talk to your friends, your colleagues, your referral groups, go to platforms. Although I have to say, asking your friends to do this work for you when it's hard work to find talent is a reach. You can also find partners, and I think this can be a very good way of doing it. Find businesses that complementary to yours. If you're a web development firm and you can partner with a graphic design firm, for example, you can do things like revenue share or cost share. But really, the success of these kind of arrangements is really the alignment that's there, and whether the needs are truly balanced. Because sometimes one partner needs the other more than the other needs the other partner. So that's always a balancing act. And you're then dependent on the whims of another person's business and how they do business. And the last thing, and we are recruiters, so I am big in favor of doing this. We've been doing it for 12 years, and we've seen through these success stories the opportunities that we've helped businesses to achieve. But there are contract specialists out there in addition to results resourcing. There's no opportunity cost from using us because we spend the time finding people for you, and you get experts, people that are really experienced at doing this. You do pay for the value of the service, but at the end of the day, it's an investment to finding the right talent for your business. So in my opinion, DIY is low ROI. You kiss a lot of frogs and you ask your friends to help you do that. Partners, it's high ROI potential if you find the right partner. And I think the highest ROI is really a recruiter that's going to be invested in your success. So let me talk just a few minutes about results resourcing, because it's not only something that we do to offer value, but it's a passion project for me, because I think it's a way to help businesses scale. But we are a virtual fractional talent platform and service. It was built by and for small businesses. This platform came about because of needs I found I had when I was scaling my own business. So we help solo and small businesses scale. And we are really a freelance talent matching service and the best of both worlds. We are talent specialists as well as technology specialists. And as I mentioned before, we're a fully automated proprietary technology platform that we use to make our search methodology efficient. So you don't come to us to browse freelancers, and freelancers don't browse. We are in the business of finding the best possible match for you, and we do that through the insertion of human talent experts. And every single work engagement starts with human experience. And you'll be talking to someone like me about your needs, because we're going to help you as entrepreneurs ourselves kind of reverse engineer. Here's what you want to do. Here's what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so what's necessary? Working backwards to do that. What kind of skills, what kind of talent do you need? And that's really what we're in the business of providing: access to skilled, scalable talent from entrepreneurs that use freelancers themselves. So our business is all about matching with critical thinkers and doers. They can either be teams or individuals. And frankly, I'm a big fan of teams because they're so scalable. You work with a business owner that has a professional support service agency, and that person has a team of people that they manage, and they're accountable to them to deliver results to you. So sometimes you can find a great individual that meets your immediate needs, but then after a time, your business has grown and developed and they no longer have all the skills you need. Then you've got to go out and find new people, onboard new people. And so there's pros and cons with both, but I'm a big fan of teams because I think they can deliver a lot of services in a very scalable way. We also focus on US and Canadian professionals. And the reason we do that is because they have a cultural understanding and a business savvy of how business is done in both these countries. And that, I think, at the end of the day, leads to more cost-effective and quick results. So really the sources and value propositions that are out there to most solopreneurs and small businesses are these things: freelance work expertise, that's what you should look for. And what kind of services are you going to get from working with those providers? With us, we are a yes for all of these things, and we do it for you. If you go to Upwork and Fiverr, which are the two publicly traded, really big providers of freelance providers, they are freelance work experts, absolutely. But unfortunately, in terms of the ability to filter people, you end up filtering on price, which isn't often the best reason to engage somebody. But it's pretty much do it yourself in all these other areas. There's no human help. There's no free consult. There's no curated talent other than the filters that you have. And they're not vested in your success. And the same really with a well-meaning friend. I love the well-meaning friend, but they're not the freelance work expert. They don't really know your business. And despite their intention of helping, it could end up being more work because now maybe you feel an obligation to spend time with someone they suggest that you're sure isn't going to be a good match. So just something to think about in terms, again, the value of your time and how you're choosing to spend it or invest it. And by the way, I think DIY recruiting is non-core work, surprisingly enough. So in summary, as I summarize, what are the benefits of outsourcing to vetted fractional talent? It's really optimizing the use of your time and your capital, and time is money. Freelancers are available, they're flexible, and they're very skillful. So you can offload non-core work, scale up and down, add results-oriented talent because they're in the business of delivering a professional service to you. You can add broad thinking and experience because freelancers work across industries and across clients. So you can gain from what worked and didn't work with other industries and clients. And it really helps you add tech and AI utilization skills because the best freelancers realize that they need to be on the leading edge of utilizing technology and AI skills to be at their best. So you can leverage them without needing to become expert in these things yourself. And so this has all led us to deliver what we call on-demand freelance talent, because people kept coming back to us and saying, I need virtual assistants. I want it to be vetted. I want it to be competent, reliable, nice, and right now. I don't want to wait for it. And that's the beauty of technology platforms. Well, they're asking for the same thing from us. So what we came up with really are pre-vetted human teams, because they can provide a variety of skills on demand, to you. They're business and culturally savvy, broad and deep skill sets. There are no minimum hours required to work with us. And these freelance teams can be up and running for you in 24 to 48 hours. And they are all accountable business partners, business owners. They run their business and they measure their success on whether they delivered results to you. Popular roles through us for these on-demand programs are virtual assistants, executive assistants, social media marketing, project management, a lot in their arena of business development and lead generation and sales support, as well as bookkeeping. And satisfaction guaranteed. We really want you to succeed. That's why we named the company Results Resourcing, because we want to deliver results. So in conclusion, really to optimize operations is a great opportunity to leverage what virtual assistants can provide for you. So embracing the options, both human and digital, one key takeaway. Optimizing your time by doing the core work that your business needs to do to deliver value to your clients, which will generate revenue. In my thinking, applying the methodology of process, then tools, then people will help you optimize time as well as capital. And then always outsourcing the non-core work that is not going to generate revenue. Your client is not going to value it. It's going to just expect that it's done. We think that's really work that should be outsourced, and we will help you, starting with a free consult. And then all these things will help you scale from the benefit of value-added fractional support. So to kind of conclude, if you'd like to learn more, I would love to have a free 30-minute call with you. I learn a lot from these calls in terms of how I can further help small business owners, whether you're a solopreneur or a small business employer. how to grow your business. I learned from that, and I can share what I've learned from others. So no obligation. You can click on the QR code to book time with me, and I'd be really looking forward to chat with you. And then I also love talking on this subject. I am passionate about how small businesses can scale, and I have a lot of ideas as I've tried to share today. So again, there's the QR code to schedule time to meet with me, as well as my LinkedIn profile. So would love to take any questions that you have. And Lana, maybe you can tell me what's out there.
Sure, thank you. Some things are coming in here. Will the recording be available? Yes, I believe so, right?
Absolutely.
Yes,
if you registered for the session, it will automatically come out to you. And if you happen to read about the session later, just email me and we will get a copy out to you.
Perfect. What are the benefits of potential drawbacks of using offshore VA services, considering their attractive pricing?
Well, they definitely are an attractive price point. And to me, when I guess I'll answer the question in the story form. When I started Results Resourcing, I worked with talent all over the world, and I would match people with freelancers from various countries. And there are so many super smart people that speak and write English well, and very entrepreneurial all over the world, from Eastern Europe to Africa, Latin America, Philippines, Asia, and totally respect. But what I was discovering in making those matches were a couple of things. Is one, when the business owner, especially a small business owner or solopreneur, is focused on getting results, they don't understand the effort it takes, to write out steps. I mean, most offshore resources need a step-by-step process, and they're very clear on following the step exactly, and they don't color outside the line. Because they're not familiar with the culture here. They're not familiar with how business is done as California, versus Ontario, for example. So, I think offshore resources can be an excellent source of skill for things that are more rote. And there are certainly people around the world that can deliver at a higher level as well. But I think for most smaller businesses, it's more of a sure thing to spend more money and get somebody that understands your culture, understands how to do business, and that you can count on to help you think through things rather than just follow instructions. And so these are broad generalizations. There's exceptions to every rule. But again, I go back to the effort it takes to find and vet the right talent. And you just increased the difficulty in doing that, because not only do you have to make sure someone's got the skill you need, but then you're factoring in all kinds of other factors around the world as well. And then the last thing is kind of security, information security. There's bad things can happen everywhere in the world, including the United States or Canada. But you're also adding to, I think, the cybersecurity risk, because you just don't know what the internet environment is wherever that person is working, or whether they're working in a cafe or on the beach or whatever it is. So there's just lots of things to think about. And to me, it's not just a decision based on an hourly rate. You've got to be thinking about the cost of your time, evaluating all these other factors.
Thank you. Are VAs experienced in using artificial intelligence and technology? And if so, can they provide direction to help me ensure I'm getting the most out of the tech I use?
My experience is absolutely yes. And if you think back to the chart that I showed about how digital VAs are consuming the lower end of the task schedule and continually moving forward, I think the most forward-thinking virtual assistants that are providing professional support services, they're thinking about that horizon and how can they add value. And one of the things they can do is they can use AI tools for themselves to make themselves more efficient and make if they've been called upon to do a research project or draft an article or whatever it is. I know many are using AI as source material, but they're also recognizing that that can only take them so far, and then they need to add the client voice or do the fact checking or whatever it is. So I think that many of them are really taking the lead in understanding how these technologies can be used. And then, long before AI became so popular, they are very tech savvy in general. So they're clear understanding of how to work with multiple CRM systems, how to work with different lead generation systems, social media, posting systems, mail campaign systems. They're very knowledgeable about all of those things, and can even streamline the process of picking the right tools, because they can help you, understand what your needs are, what your objectives are, and what tools are best for whatever it is you need. So I think they're a great place to start utilizing AI and technology tools.
Thank you. How are the small to medium-sized businesses utilize artificial intelligence to enhance their operation and growth?
Well, as the one slide that I shared, I think the two main things that I see is, first of all, content creation. That is probably the easiest way that people start to use it. The key is learning how to pose the correct question to ChatGPT, whether it's summarizing information for you or investigating things for you. The key is finding the right question. But I think that's the first place that I see small businesses going, is to create posts or create articles or create materials, images, for newsletters, that sort of thing. That's also where some of the trouble comes, because they're not necessarily spending time fact checking, or it sounds like AI, it doesn't sound like them. And so I think that that's the most immediate need that I see, and then the danger that I've seen in the work that they're doing. The second is when I was mentioning the customer service support. Now that requires, I see that more in businesses that have employees that are a little bigger, where they're investing in more sophisticated chat tools that can be tailored to an industry. I mentioned dentistry, for example, or a supplements company I read about, worked with, that can answer some of the basic questions. A will pick up the phone or respond to a text immediately and do so in an intelligent fashion. Another one was an insurance agency that they could ask some really basic questions about, what the difference is between an independent agent versus a captive agent, for example. So I think those tools are up and coming too, but they require a bit more of a business infrastructure to be in place already to really utilize those tools. But I think more and more there's going to be basic chat tools that might be quite easily customizable for just basic websites that could be easily used by solopreneurs too. So I think those are the two big areas that I think have immediate potential for solopreneurs and small businesses.
Thank you. I've heard you talk about hiring individual VAs versus teams. Can you give us a little bit more information on that?
Sure. I talked about that a little bit during this talk, but the reason I ended up moving towards a team approach, and honestly, we'll provide either individuals or teams. But at the end of the day, what I kept finding was a small business would come to me, and we would have a conversation about their business needs, and we would prioritize, like, of the 5 or 10 things they needed done, these were the top 3 things, and we would find freelancers that could do those top 3 things. That would work really, really well. But then at a certain point, maybe they only needed 5 hours a week, and now because the business is growing, they need 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week. And that individual freelancer didn't have the time to give them, had other clients, so would get tapped out on a time standpoint. And then the other would be that individual freelancer could meet those immediate needs, but then suddenly they started to decide they wanted to do webinars, or they wanted to do podcasts, or they needed video editing or something else. And that initial person wasn't picked for those skills, was picked for the original priorities. And so that original person, however great that relationship was, couldn't respond with expertise to those new needs, which meant the client needed to go find different freelancers, onboard new people, and there was started the cycle all over again of having to search for somebody that was reliable, do all the interviewing, onboarding, teach that person the business again. So there was a lot of repetition. So the beauty of a team is that it's led by someone that is invested in your success, a business owner himself or herself. And that's the person that gets to know your business and inevitably is working with somebody on their team to meet those immediate needs that the business owner has. But then when something new comes up, video editing that's not comparable to the original priority list, or more hours are needed, that can be handled within the team seamlessly. And that business owner that is running the professional support services team is still engaged, still involved in helping to bring on new people from that team into that client's world. So it really lessened the ability to scale, because you had a small team that could expand and contract as needed to provide the hours and the expertise that were needed. So again, some people still come to us and want an individual, and that can happen. We end up doing that by assigning them somebody within a team, but we don't force them, to work with a team. They can work with an individual, but the backstop is there if needs expand. And so maybe a point on that person's outsourcing journey that they're comfortable with one person, and that's cool. But that's really why we've shifted to the team approach, because it's just so versatile and it helps expand as needs expand from a time standpoint.
I have one more question. You say that you guarantee the talent you provide. What happens if I don't like the team that I'm working with? Can I change? Can we have a conversation about it? What's your experience with that?
Well, the answer is kind of yes to those different options. I mean, it's like philosophically, I am focused on delivering results for you as an entrepreneur. That's what I want. So that's why the conversation is so important for us to get on the same page, and for me to really hear from the client what their needs are, what they're trying to do, and based on 12, 15 years of experience working with small businesses, help shape that, that priority list, like this is what you want to do. Well, let's think back, let's reverse engineer that to make sure the right talent match gets made. And so we go a long way up front to make sure we understand the need and that we've matched the needs with the team that's best able to support. And from a business skill standpoint, a tool skill standpoint, and a work style standpoint, because all three things are important. As I said before, they want competent, reliable, nice, as well as right now. And those are the secrets to success. So, for the most part, it works. There are times when it hasn't worked and we try to make a change, to make it work. Either an individual team member, sometimes not so much COVID anymore, but sometimes somebody gets sick or has some family issue and isn't able to respond anymore. And so we try to shift work to a new team member to make that happen. I mean, on rare occasion, it doesn't work at all. But we've gone through a lot of conversation, because honestly, sometimes the business owner contributes to that. And we just try to work through to find the right solution. So we take every case individually, but you've got a great deal of ownership from me, as well as all the teams that I work with to make it work. And because we're all in the business of delivering results to our clients.
Fantastic. Any last minute questions in the chat? Nope. I think that's everything. Oh, okay. There's one message. Oh, one question. I am interested to know how would a virtual freelancer from US, Canada help scale a small business based in Asia?
Well, I think it would be something that we would determine from that initial conversation, because it kind of depends on what you need. So if it's knowledge about the world in Asia, it might be good to have a combination of, frankly, freelancers that are in the United States or Canada, excuse me, as well as whatever that Asian country is. And I personally have relationships with a number of providers around the world for those situations, because there's expertise that's needed around Canada. There's expertise that's needed around, Asia is a big place. Where in Asia? What kind of expertise is required? What kind of product or service is it? And those are all questions that we try to get behind in that conversation. And then I try to sketch out, here's what I think the solution could be. And if it's a combination of Canadian virtual assistant, professional services provider, and someone that can provide assistance in that country, then I work to make those connections happen, so we can deliver a comprehensive solution.
Thank you. There's no more questions in the chat.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I love the opportunity to share what I've learned over the past 12, 15 years working in this space, as well as my enduring passion for helping small businesses scale. And I would love to hear from you, if nothing else, to hear what you think about the talk today, but also just to chat about how we might help you. No obligation. Would just love to continue the conversation. So thank you so much for being with us today, and happy to send you the recording, and look forward to engaging with you on LinkedIn and perhaps in person to talk about your needs and how we can help you be more successful. Thank you so much. Have a great day.